Welcome back to another video. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. Delighted to bring on special guest Josh from the Spurs Debate YouTube channel. Josh, welcome to the channel. First of all, tell everyone about your YouTube channel.
Thank you for the intro, Chris. Nice to meet the family and all the subscribers. My name's Josh. I run a YouTube channel called Spurs Debate, where I do previews, post-match analysis, try and bring something new and different, facts and insight, and always take a trip down memory lane as well. So come and join me, hit a subscribe button. I'm on YouTube. There's a picture of me sitting in the manager's chair at the old White Hart Lane. Lovely.
Josh, Manchester City 3, Tottenham Hotspur 0. What did you expect from today, and were you happy with our performance?
Do you know, I was really happy with the first half, Chris. I sat there at half-time thinking to myself, we actually got a chance, and we've kept City pretty quiet. My initial prediction was a 2-2 draw on my channel. I thought we could potentially nick a couple of goals with the form we're in. Potentially with set pieces, playing ugly and getting in and around City, but it wasn't meant to be. It definitely didn't happen, did it? We just didn't have the rub of the green, but we definitely created a lot of those mistakes from our own doing, you know. So it was annoying to see us play so well in that first half an hour and then to let individual defensive mistakes be our Achilles heel again. And it's a shame when it's players like Pierre, because they're the leaders, you know, they're the ones that, you know, put in the 9 out of 10s and the 8 out of 10s. And, you know, fair enough, he's a human being. Maybe he's burnt out mentally. Maybe he needs a break, you know, but that's Everton. And now, obviously, this game. And Lloris backed him up again, just like with Everton. You know, it was almost like an Everton part 2 in terms of the spine being wobbly at the back. So I thought we played well as a team. I thought there was some good positives to come out of that first half. And then once the second goal went in, our heads dropped and we started feeling sorry for ourselves. And that was game, set and match, wasn't it?
Josh, where does Jose Mourinho go from here? Because, of course, we played we had those 3 very poor results against Liverpool, Brighton, Chelsea. We beat West Bromwich Albion. You know, then we had that crazy game at Goodison Park, losing 5-4. And then today, of course, we played Wolfsburger in midweek, and then we've got West Ham United away. Are you worried for that West Ham United game coming up?
I'm worried about us being very wobbly at the back and not having a consistent back four. So the players are not really used to a system at the moment, at the back I'm talking about. So we know our sort of 5 or 6 starters at the moment, but at the back, you know, who's going to start against, you know, in the Europa League? Who's going to start at West Ham? You know, it's almost like, where's the fluidity? Where's the consistency at the back? And then when you add the individual mistakes, it's a nightmare, isn't it? It's a recipe for disaster at the back, and teams are going to fancy themselves against our best. West Ham cannot wait to face Tottenham. In fact, all the teams looking at Spurs now know there's a goal or a mistake at the back there. So, you know, he's got to really start to find some kind of solidarity at the back and have a pair of centre-backs that he can rely on. But at the moment, you know, the players are making a lot of mistakes, and he's got to keep them fresh with the running we've got at the moment. We've got so many games. I think there's 5 games in something like 18 days or whatever it is. So how does Jose keep the legs fresh, and how does he keep these individual mistakes out the camp? It's pretty difficult. Can you really blame Jose for these sort of mistakes that are happening on the pitch now on a weekly basis? You know, it's difficult to point the finger at him. Maybe he needs to sit down with the players and go through the basics of football, because they are basic mistakes. They're schoolboy errors.
Josh, lots of fans are very mixed. They blame the players. Some blame the manager. Some have never liked the manager since he's come in. Lots of people blame the board. Where do you put the blame?
Well, I think, look, there's a combination of places to kind of point the finger at, and you have to blame someone or somewhere, because at the moment it's just not the expectation of what us fans expect in terms of the performances. So, you know, we're not just saying it for the sake of it. Look, you know, the board hasn't invested heavily. Don't get me wrong, the last 2 transfer windows, I think there was a net spend of about 40-50 million in each window. But if you look at City today and you look at the spend, you know, they're in the 80s and 90s. I think 800 million in the last 5 years. So comparing us to City is probably a bit unfair. But when you look at us across the board, you know, we are probably a level below where we should be. Now, Jose's sometimes too sort of, you know, pragmatic. And when the players express themselves, we find that, you know, we can see, like we did against West Brom, obviously on the front foot. Now, don't get me wrong, West Brom, an average side, and you'd expect Tottenham to take the game to West Brom. But when you go back to Chelsea, are we giving opposition teams too much respect? And if you knock on a door hard enough and you keep knocking, it will open. And I wonder if we need to take that lesson into the West Ham game, which is to sort of go out there a bit more expansive is one word, but I'd say expressive. So let the players enjoy themselves a bit, because I wonder if the shackles are quite sort of not quite off the players. And we saw against Everton that first 30 minutes is kind of what we should be taking into the West Ham game. And you know, there's no shame in losing to City. Either way they're playing, they're completely head and shoulders above everyone else. And I'm sure a lot of people expected that kind of result today. But, you know, going from here, Jose just needs to regroup, see that as a one-off result, take that West Brom and Everton first half and the first half today into the next game, because there is some light at the end of the tunnel when you see the way we performed in the first half an hour.
The thing is, though, Josh, it's always about you know, performances and, of course, results. It's a results-led business. Now, that's why Mauricio Pochettino, of course, got the sack. You know, because the board felt that he couldn't reach that top 4 position anymore. Now, Francis has put a question here. How much longer do you think the board will put up with these performances and results? Do you think that Jose Mourinho, at some point soon, if we don't get the results, will be under severe pressure?
Look, I think Spurs being out of Europe is not acceptable for Levy or the board. So I think at the point at which we start sort of flirting with mid-table, we start to think about the sort of reputation of the club, because we're a European club. You know, we're always in Europe, whether it's the Europa League or the Champions League. And the machine we've built with the training facilities and the stadium, we should have European football at the lane. To hold on to these stars like your Kanes and Sons and Tanguy, and I know some of them are on longer contracts, but to really build a team around the sort of 5 or 6 that seem to be putting in a performance, we need to be in Europe to attract those players. So I think he'll press the button when we start sort of dropping off 7 or 8 points off Europe. I think he'll give him up to the Carabao Cup, because that's still an opportunity to get into Europe. And I also think when the senior players like Hugo Lloris and Harry Kane or Toby start knocking on Levy's door, or if Ledley King reports back to Levy and says, look, I think he's lost the dressing room, no one's buying into this philosophy, no one's enjoying themselves, the players want to express themselves, it's just not for us. And I think at that point, whether it's Ledley King or Hugo or Kane has that conversation with Levy, I think that's probably the start of the end for him.
Josh, I've got to mention Hugo Lloris, because on another day, he would have saved all 3 of them.
Yeah. I mean, the penalty, I don't want to be harsh on him because he made the right call. And, you know, penalties always 50-50, and you expect Hugo to save those. You know, he's not new, he's not a novice. He's a World Cup winner, for God's sakes. You know, he's played in the highest sort of the highest level of the game, and you know, he's losing his cool. You know, the first goal penalty, I'm not going to be too harsh on him, but the second goal, he should be saving that. Everton, there was mistakes, and you know, obviously the third goal, again, can't be too harsh on him, but I definitely think the second goal, we've got to blame Hugo, and I don't want to blame players for the sake of it. But there's been a combination of errors, Chris. I mean, Pierre, you know, out of character, you know, committing himself too early and panicking. And maybe Pierre's confidence has been hit. You know, it's the first sort of couple of mistakes we're seeing in his game now. Has Hugo Lloris got one eye on PSG, as the rumours are that, you know, Poch wants him? And I hope they are rumours. But if it's true and he's already sees himself in Paris, his home country, and it is a glamour move for him to end his career, maybe he's taken one eye off the ball, and maybe that distraction is causing him to have this lack of focus, because Hugo Lloris has let us down massively in the last couple of games.
Josh, as well as lots of people blaming Jose Mourinho and the players, the board do get a lot of stick as well. Now, Darren writes here, do you think the pressure on Levy will start? He seems to not provide the players that we need to be competitive. Now, do you ever see that? Because, of course, we had that spell of 518 days under Pochettino where we didn't spend a penny. But, you know, a lot of people would argue that Jose Mourinho was backed in the summer. Jose Mourinho come out and said himself he was very, very happy with the squad. We've sat top of the Premier League for 5 weeks this season. Look, the transfers we brought in was a mixed bag, wasn't it? You know, and we had, for Joe Hart and Matt Doherty haven't quite, you know, Joe Hart was never going to take that position, but Matt Doherty was expected to challenge for right back with Serge Aurier. That hasn't quite happened, so that's a failure. But in Pierre, we've picked up a bargain. If you take his whole season, the performance, Reguilon's been a successful transfer. Bale has shown glimpses. It is a low move, so you know we have to see what happens with that. Today he showed a little bit of the old Bale. That was good to see. So you know, on the whole, I would say that the lack of transfer activity from previous seasons may be haunting us today with some of the players that have been there 7 or 8 years and not been moved on. So your Ben Davises,
Eric Dyer's looked, a mixed bag this season. So we have to invest in quality. And if you look at the Man City investment and you look at the odd 800 odd million they've spent to build what they've got, you then look at the subs bench and what was coming on today. We are in somewhat of a transition of a club. We've got, 700 odd million we owe the banks, so we have to look at the financial aspects as well. Obviously, Levy will say to the fans, I've taken you from mid-table to your Harry Redknapp's and your Martin Yole's sort of 6th and 5th, your Harry Redknapp taking us to 4th, and then Pochettino getting us as far as he could in terms of 2nd and 3rd. So over the last 20 years, and it's coming up to 20 years for Levy, the arrow's pointing up. And when you're challenging with the deep pockets of Liverpool, United, City, Chelsea, you have to ask yourselves, with that financial might, are we going to have the wages? Are we going to have the transfer policy and the wage policy to go out and buy these players on 200 grand a week that City can do 150 grand a week? So I think, the fans have to realise that because of the stadium project, we have to sort of give the club its chance now to go on to bring all that revenue from off the pitch, commercial ventures with your NFLs, and that will be the real story will be told in a few years. And don't forget, COVID-19 stopped a lot of revenue coming into the club this summer and over the last 12 months. So, and don't forget, the stadium went from sort of 500 to 758 and almost $1 billion, they're saying. So that money's been tied up too. So I think when you're looking at it from a financial perspective, the stadium and the infrastructure of the club is yet to really sort of go on to show what it can do off the pitch, which will help the players on the pitch and the manager on the pitch. So but the jury's still out on Levy. I'm not quite convinced he's done a bad job.
Josh, lastly, Tor writes, it's been a bit of a mess, sad to say, but, Tottenham need to turn this around. Of course, we've got Wolfsburg midweek in the Europa League. And then, of course, next weekend, we've got West Ham United, our London rivals in the Premier League. We need a win in both of these games now, don't we?
Yeah, we've got a lot of games coming up, I mean, if you look at the positives from today, Tanganga put in a pretty good performance. He probably was, slightly involved with the blame on the second ball. He probably didn't press hard enough. I mean, there's a lot of players to blame today. I don't want to go through each one, but some of them were naive and not quite on it today. The goal, Gundogan's second goal, I mean, 4 players there. What are they doing? But the positives are that Tanganga gives us an option now, whether it's Ben Davis or on Serge Aurier. Reggie's coming back, Reguilon, and we've got Lo Celso hopefully not back in a few weeks. So look, I think we've got to look at this as a result in isolation. Man City are doing that to every Premier League opposition, and I think we just need to regroup and take the form from Everton and West Brom, take the positives from the first half today, regroup and go again. And I think we can definitely get back on track with the players that are coming in the next few weeks.
Josh, love your positivity. Let's hope that Tottenham can do it in the next couple of games. Lovely to have you on. Let's hope that we can have you back on the channel very, very soon. Just tell everyone again about your YouTube channel. Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, Chris. So Spurs debates, like I say, videos on and off, and lots of insight, lots of facts and stats, lots of a couple of trips down memory lane. I always like to go sort of and see, where we've come from with the last few years and rivalries and players and etc. So come and join me on Spurs Debate. Look forward to seeing you on there and look forward to being back on this channel with you, Chris. Thank you. Lovely. Cheers, Josh. Come on, you Spurs. Cheers. Take care.